Marky Billson here, Tri-City Sports Now, and I am looking through, you heard that they'll never be worn again. Ask Frank Tripucka about that. I guess it's difficult for him because he passed away, but yeah, remember Frank Tripucka? Actually, that's kind of intriguing. Frank Tripucka, who you talk about people who had their number retired, and sometimes it appears like, boy, why did this person have their number retired? Take the Pittsburgh Pirates. Knoxville native Billy Meyer had his number retired by the Pirates in 1953. Well, there's a nice thing to do, it was thought of. He had one winning season as a manager. Didn't win the pennant. Overall losing record, managed one of the worst teams in the club's history. They didn't retire Chuck Tanner's number. They retired Billy Meyer's number. Something is wrong. Something is desperately wrong. Frank Tripucka might be the pro football equivalent. It looks like retired numbers because Tripucka was the quarterback of some very bad Denver Broncos teams. He was their first starting quarterback for the first 3 years. Had number 18 retired. And then when the Broncos signed Peyton Manning, suddenly that number became unretired. What good is retiring a number if you're, not... I mean, when Joe Montana became a Chief, he didn't wear number 16. That was Len Dawson's number, and rightly so. He wore 19. So you say these numbers are retired. No one will ever wear them again, at least for now. Anyway, I'm not necessarily surprised. George, I'm okay with. He's a 10,000-yard rusher. Never really got the yards per carry average. It went down as his career sort of got, as he got older. I mean, he sort of became the worn-out back. And remember, he did not get yard number 10,000 in a Titans uniform. He got it in his last season playing for the Cowboys, where he rushed for 400 yards and barely made it to 10,000 and all that. Now, if you're Ohio State and Eddie George wins the Heisman and you want to retire that number, that's fine. I mean, I get that. Titans, though, it kind of shows you just how, shall we say, mediocre the franchise has been since moving from Houston. I mean, no Super Bowls. You think of George, all right, he played 9 years, but, this guy isn't making a Hall of Fame. We don't think. Unless someday it becomes, anybody with 10,000 yards rushing makes the Hall, but I don't see that. I mean, his numbers aren't necessarily now anything tremendously great. It was once upon a time something to rush for 10,000 yards. Now that's kind of like, I don't know, the 400 home run club in baseball or something. I probably should not be knocking that 10,000 yard rushing total. But like I said, it used to be fairly uncommon. But in the era of the 16-game season, it's now quite common. Here are the all-time rushing yards leaders in the NFL. Emmitt Smith, number 1. Walter Payton, number 2. Barry Sanders, number 3. Remember when Sanders retired just short of breaking Walter Payton's record? Here's a surprise. Now with the Buffalo Bills, Frank Gore, who could move to third all-time this year if he gets about 500 yards rushing. Kind of surprised that Curtis Martin's number 5, LaDainian Tomlinson, number 6, Jerome Bettis, 7, Adrian Peterson, who could pass for the Redskins this year, Bettis, he's number 8, Dickerson, 9, Tony Dorsett, 10, Jim Brown, who for years and years was the all-time rushing leader, he's number 11, Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James, Marcus Allen, Franco Harris, who almost broke Jim Brown's rushing record, but not quite. Thurman Thomas, Fred Taylor, Steven Jackson, John Riggins, Corey Dillon, O.J. Simpson does not crack the top 20 of all-time leading rushers. He's number 21. Warrick Dunn, Ricky Waters, Jamal Lewis, Shady McCoy. He's moving up the charts. His next rush, he'll pass Jamal Lewis for 24 in the all-time list. Thomas Jones, Tiki Barber, and then Eddie George. 28th all-time in the NFL in rushing. He's between Tiki Barber, who has 8 more yards than he does, and Marshawn Lynch, who comes in a grand total of 62 yards short of Eddie George's 10,441. On top of that, on this list, George's 3.6 yards per carry is the lowest of any back with 10,000 yards. Now, okay, still we're talking here about Titans greats. And so I get it. But you're going to be retiring George, you're going to be retiring McNair, and there's a definitive argument. Maybe McNair isn't worthy of having his number retired. Considered how he died, 31,000 passing yards. Okay, I could give you a lot of quarterbacks who didn't throw for 31,000 yards or are in the Hall of Fame and all that. But those are 14-game seasons or 12. Those are eras where you threw the ball on third down. Does McNair strike you as an all-time great quarterback? I'll give you he's better than Frank Tripucka. I'll give you he's the best that ever played for the Titans in the first 20 years of their history. But is that enough? I mean, there are a lot of quarterbacks who are the best of their franchise's first 20 years, and they're not getting their number retired. You know? Anyway, George I'm okay with. McNair, I'm not so sure. And again, especially when you look at the way McNair died, I'm not sure that's somebody that you definitely want to have their number retired. Now, talk about the differences of this show, why this station is the most followed sports talk radio station in the market. It's because I do remember when McNair died and you actually had yokels calling up local talk radio. We weren't a sports radio station at the time. This is one of the reasons I don't accept calls. Do you think Steve McNair is a Hall of Famer? No. In fact, I don't think the Titans should be retiring his number. I don't think he's that good. There you go. Alcorn State, you want to retire the number? That's fine. Now, I say I was going to get to the Hope Solo and the women's soccer. I'm going to hold that up. I'm going to get to that next segment. Okay, I'm going to get that next segment because I want to tell you this. There's a big announcement, and it was the creation of an Appalachian League Hall of Fame. And I really applaud this. I think that it makes the league look more professional. I'm surprised they didn't have one before. Then again, the Appalachian League are just passing through, and I'm wondering how much of this is done on Appalachian League stats, and how much is it based on their major league career? But there were 7 players inducted to the inaugural Hall of Fame class for the Appalachian League. Greg Maddux, Eddie Murray, who would have been a Bluefield Oriole. Kirby Puckett, a former Elizabethton Twin. Cal Ripken Jr., a former Bluefield Oriole. Nolan Ryan of the Marion Mets. Kingston Indians Jim Tomei. Is it Kingston or Burlington? Burlington, excuse me. Burlington, where I remember he hit 373. And Alan Trammell, who with the Bristol Tigers in 76, hit 271. There are a lot of people that think that Trammell is one of the weaker players in Cooperstown. I think in his first Hall of Fame class, you can really make the argument it wasn't what he did at Bristol. It was what he did by being a Major League Hall of Famer, and barely at that got him into the Appalachian League Hall of Fame. Anyway, Pikeville Cubs, that's where Maddox pitched in 84. He was 6-2 with a 2.63 ERA. I mentioned Murray played for the Bluefield Orioles. He also later played for the Baltimore Orioles. 287 with 11 home runs in his 1 year there in 50 games. I don't know. If you're doing it on Appalachian League feats, what about Ron Neckeye? I mean, he doesn't have that much time left to get enshrined. What about Bert Bell and the 2 no-hitters he pitched in 52 for the Bristol Twins? What about former 400 hitters? What about players who did it on the field in the Appalachian League? What about, I don't know, a manager who managed many years? I don't know if I want to see Steve Turco in a Hall of Fame. But what about a Ray Smith? Even if he's not the best with the media, he's got the record. Come on. Some of this stuff, Alan Trammell over Ray Smith? Over Ron Neckeye? No way. But it's happened. And I don't agree with it. Good that you have an Appalachian League Hall of Fame. The people you chose could have done better. I'm Marky Billson. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that women's soccer team, that blowout that it seems like everyone's talking about, 13-0. After this, Unicoi County Farmers Market has a word right now.